John, thank you very much. Here at North Wilkesboro, 171 laps have been completed, and Rusty Wallace is in the lead with the 24 car of Jeff Gordon running in second spot. It's our final visit to North Wilkesboro after 30 telecasts. Winston Cup Series will not compete here after today. Our telecast this afternoon is being brought to you by Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards for engine protection, and by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And we look back on Jeff Gordon. Rusty Wallace, who was involved in a skirmish with Rick Mast a few laps ago. That car was not hurt in any way by it, it looks like, because Rusty has taken off and leading this race again.
And Jeff Gordon right now is pressuring Rusty Wallace. Just a couple of laps ago, had taken a look on the inside. There we see Mark Martin and Rick Mast, the fourth place car. They had to, on the Rick Mast pit stop, they had to pull the right front fender off that tire, as John Kerner reported, and that little bit of time cost him that much track position.
He was right on the leader's bumper when he pitted, but comes out quite a bit of interval between himself and the leaders, and a lot of traffic also between second and third.
As we watch Rusty Wallace, Bobby Hamilton, when he made his pit stop, he came out behind Rusty Wallace. He passed both Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace and has pulled away, so he's got himself back in the lead lap. Hamilton's running 16th.
There you can see a 2.8-second interval between first and fifth, as Dale Earnhardt is in the fifth position.
And Jeff Gordon goes under Rusty Wallace. Comes off the corner. Now Bill Elliott's going to try to follow, but Rusty goes down quickly and blocks that spot.
Elliott in 17th position. And one guy who is doing a heck of a job out there is Dale Jarrett. From a poor starting position, Dale has moved up to 7th spot. There is Darrell Waltrip right behind him. He's on fresh tires, which was just a few laps ago. Waltrip has lost 3 laps and is now shown in 33rd spot. Looked like the DW of old in the early part of the race.
Looked very good. Boy, the leaders here are getting in heavy traffic once again.
Bill Elliott, the McDonald's Ford, has been able to hang with these two cars, the two leaders. Not able to get by them, but he stayed right on their back bumper since he came out of the pit.
17th, 1 lap behind.
Also, Jimmy Spencer hanging with him. He's 18th. 1 lap down to these leaders as Robert Presley once again. I want to say hello to Leo Jackson, the 33 car. Robert Presley, he's the owner of this car. Andy Feeke will be taking over as owner of the car next year. Leo isn't here today. I was going to pat him on the back and tell him how much I appreciate everything you've done for me over the years, but tell you what, those grouse in western North Carolina better look out with Leo Jackson not having to go to races on the weekend.
Robert Presley, by the way, will drive the 29 car next year. Well, Rick Mast seems to be showing some muscle here of recent.
Well, certainly he's running good, Bob, but when the leaders got all this heavy traffic, that allowed Rick to catch up a little bit. He has a good race car, no question. There he is right on the back bumper of Mark Martin. But when they got in that heavy traffic, that certainly helped his cause a little bit.
There he goes to the inside of Mark and takes 3rd position.
Now the leaders have cleared what was previous traffic for about 4 or 5 laps that held them up. Now Mast is going to have to go through it. You see where he is and where the leaders are over there?
Yep.
There'll probably be a half lap. Oh, battle for the lead. Here comes Rusty Wallace. Wow, these cars are awfully equal, aren't they?
They sure are. Rusty gets the lead back here on the 185th lap. The interval is going to grow here because there's a lot of traffic between Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon and Rick Mast.
It'll be 5 seconds by the time Rick Mast gets through all that traffic, because it is heavy, heavy traffic.
So Rusty Wallace assumes control of this event once again. We are less than 15 laps away from the halfway mark of the Tyson Holly Farms 400. Track facts are brought to you by Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards of engine protection.
Last week at Martinsville, we showed you the chain the teams use to lift the rear tires off the ground during pit stops. Today, a closer look at this critical piece of equipment. Here on the rear of Ken Schrader's Budweiser Chevy, you can clearly see the chain lifting the right rear wheel. The chain is a measured length, so it does not lift the tire off the ground under race conditions. But watch what happens when the chain is disconnected. With one pump, the front tire is off the ground and moves freely. But because the chain does not lift the rear wheel, it still sits on the ground. That requires a second pump on the jack and more time spent on pit road. One more item. The chain is usually taped or shrink wrapped. That's added protection against a kink in the chain that could lift the tires off the ground during the race.